Hey everyone, welcome to another video presented to you, sponsored by ScrappyShak. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I put together this little Tim Holtz card with the coffee cups from the new release, and also with one of the embossing folders, and I will list them all in the description box below. You can get all kinds of Tim Holtz products at ScrappyShak, and I hope you stop by and visit at ScrappyShak.com. Or if you're in the Georgia area, go by and visit her store. She's got all kinds of goodies in store for you. So why don't we go ahead and get started here. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got this die set. Where are you? Where are you, little die set? Here we are. Of all these little coffee cups. They're just simply adorable. This is a new release from Tim Holtz and Sizzix. And it's called, well, I don't know what it's called because I didn't hold it up long enough to show you, but I will list it down below. Oh my gosh. So yeah, let me take this out of the package so you can see that Tim Holtz does all of his samples on a kind of a pattern paper. So a textured paper. So I thought I'd try it in my hand and make my own textured paper with this embossing folder. And I want to say it was called Weave or something like that. Again, I'll put the actual name in the description box with a link to where you can get it. Most of these things you can get from ScrappyShak. So these Sizzix dies are pretty awesome. They are numbered. So I have them all laid out. And so we have cup 1, 1, and then cup 2, cup 3, or cup 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, so on and so forth, so that you can keep track of them. But the shapes of them makes it easy anyway. It's just more to kind of get used to where the parts go. Now this is definitely a set where you would want to be able to sit and make multiples. So I've got them all laid out for you here. And well, I actually have them laid out for me because that's how I do this. And then I'm going to be using some Tim Holtz heavy stock for embossing my paper because I trust it. And you can see this other paper below is another brand. It's just a cheapo brand. And I'm going to estimate I'm going to need maybe 4 of them. If I don't need it, I'll use it for something else. We know that much. And so I'm going to place these in the embossing folder and get them all embossed. All right, so I've embossed the paper, and now you can see it has a texture to it. It's not as fine as of a texture that Tim uses or that you can purchase, but hey, what if you don't have texture paper? This is one way to get it. So, and it's very, once you've embossed that, it's kind of soft. So I'm going to go ahead and trying to decide whether I'm going to cut these out on my Gemini or not, but I will be cutting these out off camera. I think with my Vagabond. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so I got them all cut out. I did decide to do them on my Vagabond, and now I'm ready to color them. And I've got them all sitting in order, and I'm just flipping this around. I'm going to color one of these on screen for you, and I'll color the rest off screen. So they're basically a dark, a medium, and a light, which the bottom layer is the darkest layer. So I'm going to go with peeled paint for that. And then I'm going to go with crushed olive for the medium layer. And for the light layer, I think I'm going to go with old paper. And I'm just going to use my little finger blending brushes to blend the color on. And I like to use my little silicone mat there because it holds them still while I rub the color on. So I'm going to start and go from light to dark, and let me get my sleeves pushed up here so they don't knock all my paper all over the place. And let me grab my extra fingers here, which is my sharp little Sizzix tweezers, my favorite tool. I have a backup pair just in case something happens there. Just checking to make sure that the old paper is lighter than the crushed olive. And all I'm doing is just rubbing the color on with my little brush. Then I'll set it back down on the paper. Now with these, I recommend cutting those on paper that wasn't texturized. I did cut them out of texturized paper, and the top kept tearing on them when I was taking them out of the die, because it does kind of weaken the paper when you texturize it like that. So I'm just going to grab a paper towel and just kind of wipe off my mess here and go on to my next color. And for that, I'm going to be doing the crushed olive. And I won't be distressing these at all like I normally do. So no rhyme or reason why I wouldn't or would, but I'm just not today, because I have a sort of a plan in mind, but not really. I'm like, okay, let's just make these cups and then see where our brain takes us from there. Do you ever craft like that? Just, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but I'll just go and see where I end up. It's just paper. But you notice how it's got that nice little texture to it because we ran it through that embossing folder. All right, so I've got them all colored, and as you can see, I used a lot of different colors here, all oxides. So now that I have those colored, I want to make a background. So I'm going to grab this Mosaic embossing folder, also in the new release. Very cool folder. Oh my gosh, I love this embossing folder. It's so awesome. And let me just move this kind of out of the way. And what I want to do here is I want to put ink on the parts that are going to deboss. I'm going to use just a piece of watercolor paper, watercolor cardstock. And then I'm trying to decide what color to use here. Do I want to go with like real bricks, or do I want to go with a mosaic look? And ultimately, I'm going to decide to go with a mosaic look and go with a very neutral color for the, it would be, you know, your mortar, I guess, or whatever it is that goes in between bricks. What is that stuff called? I think it's mortar. I can't remember. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to go with archival ink because it's waterproof. And I'm using the hickory smoke, and I'm just rubbing it along those ridges there. And that'll clean off with alcohol, by the way, or archival cleaner. Then I'm going to carefully lay my paper in there, and I'm going to run it through my Vagabond. If I can pick it up. All right, so we've got run through. Both sides are cool, but now you see we've got an indented texture, and you could leave this white. It would be perfectly fine. There's just one little spot, because I did go 3 times. There's just one little spot that tore, but I'm not too worried about it because I have other plans for that certain part. And so what I want to do next is I want to go ahead and cover these guys up, because I'm going to get out my splat box and I'm going to add some color here, because I've decided that I want this to be like a backsplash. And so I am going to add, let me see, what am I going to add? Shabby shutters, and I'm going to add Salvage Patina. All right, so I'm just going to start out by getting my paper wet. Now remember, I used archival, so it's not going to move on us. It's going to stay right where it is. And I'm going to hit it here with the Shabby shutters, just 4 little squirts. I'm not wanting to go dark on this at all. And then Salvage Patina. Love that color combination. And then I'm going to add more water, because I really want this to be mildly colored. Is that a way to put it? So I went ahead and dried that off. And now what I want it to do is I want it to be shiny. And so my favorite way to get stuff shiny is to use the Distress Crackle paint in the Clear Rock Candy. And I'm just going to take this silicone brush. I absolutely love silicone brushes. The reason for that is because I don't have to worry about them soaking in water too long. They're wipe them off, they're good to go. So I'm going to coat the whole thing in the Crackle paint and let it dry. And it doesn't take long to dry. I'm not doing a really heavy coat or anything. And it doesn't crackle like you think it's going to crackle. And I'll show you in a minute. So see, that's dry, and you can see there are some minute crackles in there, but mostly what it's done is it's given me a shine that, you know, wouldn't resemble like if you like tried to paint it with glossy accents or something. And so now what we have to do is we have to put all our little cups together. So I'll put one together on camera and then I'll do all the rest off camera. No point in wasting your time, right? And so they're in order, so I know that I need to glue 2 on top of 1. So now I'm just using my art glare glue. You can use any kind of glue you want. Or if you wanted to prepare those with sticky paper on them already, go for it. It's your project. Do it the way you want. I think that's what I love about crafting, is I can do it the way I want and nobody can tell me I'm wrong. And if you do, that's okay. If I'm wrong, I'm willing to be wrong. Then I'll glue the 3rd piece on, and then I'll glue the coffee on. And I did the coffee in all different shades of brown because people drink their coffee all different ways. And I don't know, maybe they're drinking tea. I don't know. I'm not a big tea drinker. I'll drink an herbal tea, but I don't care for like Pico tea or whatever. You know, the Lipton stuff. Nah. A peppermint tea I'm good with. Don't like green tea at all. Ugh. Because you have to add a ton of sugar, and I don't like sugar in my tea. So there's that. This is how I like my coffee, though. So, lots of creamer. I'll go ahead and put the rest together off camera, and there we go. And now we have our background piece. And I trimmed that down to 4 by 5 1/4. And I just wanted to show you how you put these little cups together, because they've left a little slot in there so that you can place the cups if you feel like stacking them. And I love, love, love stacked dishes art. Stacked plates, stacked cups, stacked bowls, love them all stacked. So I'm just going to push these up out of my way. And what I want to do here is I feel like I need to possibly add a table. Let me just kind of play around with placement here. I definitely don't want them just floating in the air. I mean, they could float if you wanted them to, but I feel like, no, I need some place for them to live. So I'm just getting an idea for placement so I know how big of a table to cut. And here's our little steam pieces. And I only cut 3 of those. I'm not going to have steam in my stacked set because I feel like that got cold and needs to be cleared away. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's plus that I want to put a sentiment on here, so I need a place to put one. So I'm kind of happy with the placement of that. Now I need to go ahead and work on making myself a table. I've got a piece of watercolor cardstock here, and I'm going to use the bumpy side. And all I'm going to do is just ink blend on there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and ink blend with the hickory smoke to kind of pull together some of the other gray colors, the mortar on the tiles and the steam pieces. So it's kind of that rule of 3s sort of ish, where I'll have 3 different things all in the same color range to kind of make it all come together. And I'm not looking for a nice, neat blend job. I'm looking for, you know, maybe it's a concrete table in a, you know, in a more modern cafe. Yep, I'm liking that gray. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to about 1 1/4, I think, is about what my eyeball estimate, that's called an eyeball estimate. I sewed and made quilts for so long in my life, I kind of know what a measurement looks like with my eyes, but nonetheless, just in case you were wondering, and you can make your table whatever size you want. But I do want to give a sense of depth to my table, so I'm going to go and do another coat of the hickory smoke just at the top, so that it gives it the illusion of, you know, shape. Like it's, you know, getting smaller or further away. Yeah, further away, that would be it. There we go. Just real simple. I'm not trying to do, you know, Van Gogh or Monet or anybody like that. But I do want to glue it down to the part that has the little broken piece on it. So I'm going to glue that down with multi-matte media mostly because I can't find my glue, which by the way, if you were able to see to the right of that hickory smoke, it's laying right there. But I'll grab this little bottle of multi-matte media that I got, I think in a kit from Simon Says Stamps, and I'll glue it down with that. And I like multi-matte media, I like using it, but I don't like fighting with the glue, getting it down to the bottom. And I'm putting it on pretty heavy because I've got to go over, you know, a lot of texture and make it lay down. So we'll just lay that down on there. And then I'll put something heavy on it for it to dry. Make sure that it covers the whole thing at the bottom. And put something heavy on it and let that dry completely. And once it's dried completely, and it slipped on me, I'll trim off that other edge. And then I do want to add a little bit more like shadow almost behind it. So I'm going to grab my Stabilo All pencil, and I'm just going to line this. And yep, I mess up a couple of times, no big deal. That's the cool thing about this is I can just blend that right out with some water. And if it's not grungy, it's almost not me. So, grungy, messy, I mean, there is a difference, right? So I'm just going to blend this out with some water. And that Stabilo All pencil will write on anything. That's why I love them. And I don't mind if I have that one little black space there. I'm just rubbing water along to just calm it all down, because I'll most likely cover that with a coffee cup. So I'm going to pop these up on these little foam pads, and I'm going to pop the double set with the double of them, you know, one stacked on top of the other, because I want those just a little bit higher. And I'll get these popped up and then I'll be right back. All right, now I'm getting ready to pop up the last one, and I've got my my little foam squares stacked too high here. And I do like to add a little bit of glue also. And I'm going to go ahead and pop those up above everybody else. And I'm going to grab my tweezers. And the main reason I like to use my tweezers is because if I try to do it with my hands, I can't see the whole area because my hand's blocking it. So the tweezers allow me for better placement. So there, I'm happy with all my cups. Now all I need is a sentiment. But I want to get I'm going to go ahead and get my steam on, and I'm also going to pop the steam up just with one so it'll match up with the cups. So I'll get that done and be right back. All right, just getting the last one popped up here. Get that little piece of backer off of there. Just wanted to show you that if you've got these small ones, there's a couple of big spots on the steam that you can use to pop. Okay, add a little bit of glue so I have a little bit of wiggle room. I'll make sure I get that going the right way. So I'm putting a little glue where it goes into the coffee and then glue on my little foam squares. The rest can just kind of hang out. We don't care. I want that to kind of go up underneath those other two cups, the stacked cups. And there we go. Let's go ahead and decide on a sentiment. Now, at first I was thinking that I was going to use the tall, thin dies and put like cafe on there, but were actually way too long. So what I'm looking for here is my archival ink. And I'm going to edge this just like this. Nothing heavy, just enough to kind of frame this in, because I'm going to be popping it up onto a black card base, and so I really don't want any white showing through on the sides. There we go. Now it's all nice and framed in. And boy, I got a little mess going here, don't I? So I'm popping this up, and I've got fun foam back behind it, and I'm just gluing that down. so that it's popped up onto my black card base. I'm just pressing down, making sure it's nice and glued everywhere, because I don't want to put anything heavy on it and risk smashing my cups or anything. And then we'll just go on with the sentiment here. So you can see that I took out those other ones, but they really didn't work out. So I took out my little Christmas set here, and I'm going to use the word love. Since it's, you know, Valentine's Day coming up, I went ahead and inlaid that onto some green paper with black letters and a little red heart. We'll just glue that down. And then we'll have our little cafe card. I mean, who doesn't love, well, maybe people don't love coffee, but who doesn't love getting together at a cafe if you are having tea, coffee, milk, water, donuts, whatever. There we go. Well, I hope you like this card, and I hope you like my video, and I do hope that you visit ScrappyShak for more goodies. And at the end, I'm going to show you a still picture here again. I thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget, thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button. Bye-bye.